Gear up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now here are your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I don't have any thoughts other than I hope we're in the championship. We'll go to Pluto and play wherever. It don't matter. Just tell us where it's at, and we'll go play. It's really all that matters. Just tell us where to show up. We'll show up. Hopefully everybody can go to the bathroom while they're there. I mean, it don't matter. Where's the game?
That is the question of the day. Where is the game? The ACC football championship game now has no home in North Carolina, and we don't know where it's going to land. Maybe Tampa, which would seem logical because they've hosted it before, or maybe Orlando with their renovated stadium, which would be, that's fine with us. Charlotte, of course, being selfish, Charlotte would be the best location because it's so close to us. It's very easy to get to. It's very convenient to cover for us here in South Carolina, especially when Clemson's playing in it. We don't care if the Tigers aren't in it, but who knows where it's gonna land now? Is it gonna go south or is it gonna go north?
They're talking about Orlando. Orlando's making a push. They have the high school championships already set up for that stadium, but I think they're working on moving the high school kids out, moving the college kids in. That's where it looks like. I think the Bucks have a game in Tampa that Saturday. Not that you can't do the turnaround. The Falcons have a game in the Georgia Dome the day after the SEC championship.
Williams-Brice is not available because of state championships.
Right. And I don't think that – I think if they're going to do it on campus, they might do it just a higher ranked team in the BCS standings gets to be the home game.
Well, that would I'm not sure the opponent would
like that.
Team
I
don't
for that. I wouldn't think so. They still get to split the tickets. I mean, I don't know how they would do it. I mean, they've got some logistics pro that they got to work out.
Well, you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, the Pac-12 did it. It kind of worked out. But, yeah, the best case scenario for the Tigers is they have it at the home stadium of the highest ranked team, and that would be Clemson.
Is that Mercedes-Benz Dome going to be – would it be ready by December?
Oh, no. And if it is ready by December, the SEC has first dibs on
How about the new baseball? The new baseball park's not ready either. Huh?
It only seats about 30-something thousand.
Yeah, I'm being stupid there.
Yeah. How about Bristol? The field can still be there.
They can bring the field back. 150,000 people.
Right.
I don't think the ACC can sell it out. But, all right, welcome into Sports Talk. Good to have you with us. Unfortunately, politics once again shoves its way into the sports world in North Carolina. If you haven't heard the news from earlier today, the ACC announcing that it's going to pull out all of its well, I think it came down last night, didn't it? Didn't it start? No, that was the NCAA.
The NCAA was a couple of nights ago.
Well, the ACC today, their presidents, Council of Presidents, of which Clemson's president, I believe, is the chair, they voted to relocate all the league's championships out of North Carolina. This includes 10 neutral site championships this school year. This until the state repeals the HB2 law. No announcements were made on where the championship events will be held. So this means women's soccer, football, men's and women's swimming and diving, women's basketball, men's and women's tennis, women's golf, men's golf, and baseball.
Hello, Myrtle Beach.
All have to find new places. Yeah, I would think the state of South Carolina would pick up some of these events.
Yes.
Oh, unquestionable that they will. I mean, Charleston has already said they have some hurdles to clear. They want the baseball if they can get it. I would love – I mean, the baseball, before the whole HB2 thing, I thought baseball in the Low Country or in the Grand Strand, that baseball tournament with the format that they have, the pool play and the Memorial Day weekend, it just really would make a lot of sense to do it in a tour. It could be a destination for ACC baseball fans. You watch some baseball, you go to the beach,
hit
a restaurant. Well, that's the thing. I know Myrtle Beach, it's bike week. They're one of their bike weeks, so there are some logistics that they would have to work out as well. But I wasn't shocked when you saw the statement from John Swofford on Monday night saying they were going to talk about this anyway.
This was quick.
And, well, it was already on the agenda. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they were going to talk about it. The NCAA went ahead, I think, knowing it was on the agenda. They made their move and said, we're pulling stakes. But Swofford, when he injected that little, on a personal note, I'm not happy with this bill. It was unnecessary, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing. You kind of knew it was coming. I just wasn't sure they were going to be able to turn it around so fast. 3 months to find another venue for their biggest sporting event on the calendar.
And this really hits the football championship, really hits Charlotte and that part of North Carolina in the wallet. I mean, how many millions of dollars do they lose because of losing this championship? When you figure, like last year, Clemson and North Carolina, I believe it was 70,000 people there. Yeah. And some stayed overnight. I mean, because of the teams, it was a convenient trip. I'm sure for many it was just a day trip, but some stayed overnight. But everybody had to buy gas in the area, food and all that kind of stuff. It's a big kick in the wallet.
And I guess, I don't know what the Jaguars are doing, but Jacksonville may be available.
They are playing that weekend.
They are.
But, I mean, if they could do a turnaround, but there are some logistics, again, that they're going to have to work through. The Panthers, they issued a statement today, and they essentially, the Panthers aren't going to move back to Death Valley for the rest of their games, as we know. But they said that,
well, as Mick said,
their stadium is and they let people do what they've always done. You go to the bathroom that your gender you identify with. They don't have an issue. And I think that's what a lot of people with this whole hullabaloo, no matter what side that you're on, this was never really an issue. It's like something that was just created politically by two political parties. Again, nobody has a pass here. It was created into this big political issue, and now it's been thrust on us, and the people are all feeling the ramifications, and now Charlotte's feeling it.
And get this, North Carolina is a state of 10 million people, and less than 1%, 0.6% of their population identify as transgender.
Right.
So you got all this hullabaloo over such a small number of people, but it is what it is.
You can't discriminate against anybody. And the problem was those people were living, they were doing their thing, and all of a sudden somebody decided, well, wait a minute, this is an issue.
Yeah, somebody got concerned over, a woman who is now a guy, but going into the women's. No, I guess you would go into
but it was never based on nothing happened in North Carolina. Like that wasn't an issue. Like, oh my God, this guy went in the bathroom. He was transgender. That never happened. But so it's just, we talk about we want less government and all these other things. But here's the thing: North Carolina screwed up. They messed up. They caused this. They've got a mess they've got to clean up. They have decisions to make. There's an election in 2 months, and I think that'll probably be a referendum for the governor up there. But meanwhile, South Carolina, the flag's down. The bathrooms are open for business, and we will take your events, NCAA tournament, all the stuff that we've missed out on for so long.
Come on down.
We got it. So, I mean, from a sports standpoint, forget all the politics. From a sports standpoint, South Carolina is operating from a position of power over North Carolina right now.
They have to really put the pedal to the metal, because I was telling Corn off the air just a few minutes ago, Missouri is already looking at North Carolina. In fact, Kansas City Sports Consortium has put bids in for 55, count them, 55 separate NCAA championship events over the next 5 years.
And while we're on the subject, just to close the book, we're not going to discuss this tonight because we were ad nauseum with it last night, but the First Amendment does not protect you in your workplace if you're in a private work environment.
Right. Yeah. You can't tell your boss F you and say, it's my First Amendment right.
No, but I mean, he can fire you if, he tells you to stand for the national anthem and you refuse to. They can fire you, or they can fine you, or whatever, if they choose to do that.
If it's a right to work state. Okay, if you have a job to the NFL, if it's a right to work state.
They can deal with the union after the fact. Well, they can do what they want to do.
The right to work
First Amendment does not protect you.
I'm not talking about the First Amendment. I'm saying you.
But last night when I said the First Amendment, you guys jumped on me like you're crazy.
After the First Amendment San Francisco did Monday night, I let them do what they want.
First Amendment only works.
It really hurts San Francisco on the field.
If you're in a government job, not in a private sector job. All right, we're going to hit a break. Let's put all that behind us and get to some football, real football coming up. All right, we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a hump day, Wednesday night from downtown Columbia. Hope you've had a great day. We thank you for being with us wherever you are stuck in traffic, out on 385 or 126 or 526, all the hot spots in the state that usually get backed up this time of day, and others. Take your time, sit back, enjoy listening to Sports Talk. When you get to your destination, take us with you on your smartphone, on your iPad, on your laptop, whatever the case may be. You can continue to follow us in your home should you leave your car. Of course, we have the streams on our website, video and audio. You can find us on iHeartRadio as well as on the TuneIn app, so no excuse for not finding us. If you want to join the program to discuss the latest news and events, such as the ACC title game leaving Charlotte, 800-956-7266. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at sportstalksc. And what about all this invasion of politics into the world? Is this all good for everybody who's involved in sports, players, coaches, administrators, owners? Is it good to have this sort of give and take and feedback, or is it just better for people to stay silent, do their jobs, and just play their sport? 800-956-7266 is the number. A couple of other things to get to. First of all, it came out last night, USC's 2017 football schedule. Of course, we knew the Gamecocks would open up in Charlotte, maybe. I guess NC State. I guess they won't move that.
Well, no, I actually have reached out to USC to ask if has been any discussions or will be any discussions in the future about that game based on what's happening with the ACC. And I was told they're going to have to get back to me on that. So
really?
It was not shot down immediately. So I would say, I mean,
put an asterisk.
I would keep the possibility open that could potentially move. So USC at least is discussing that possibility, or could be discussing that possibility. They'll get back to us. But we did check on that today.
All right, next year's the year the Gamecocks have their long road trips. They go to Missouri on the 9th, then they get Kentucky and Louisiana Tech at home. Then they go to Texas A&M. So 2 long road trips in September. In October, it's Arkansas, Tennessee, an open date on the 21st. Then Vanderbilt at home. And then in November at Georgia. Then Florida at home, Wofford at home, and Clemson at home, which is interesting because before they play each other, the Tigers and Gamecocks, on the 18th, Clemson will play the Citadel and USC will play with Wofford. So both will be dealing with the triple option before they deal with each other.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if we just go back through our catalog of knowledge here, this may be the latest I've ever seen in history they played Georgia.
Yeah, this is late. This is, I think I saw a story where it said like, did I read this right? Like 1930 something they last played Georgia this late in the season, something like that. All right, it's the Gamecock schedule for next season. Medal of Honor Bowl down at Johnson Haygood Stadium has been suspended for this coming year because of the issues at the stadium, because half of the stadium is, well, you can't sit there because of the structure and because of lead in the paint. The Citadel is working on the stadium, trying to make that side usable. So they are suspending that game for this coming year. The NFL fining Denver linebacker Brandon Marshall and safety Darian Stewart, the former Gamecock, for their hits on Cam Newton. Stewart will be relieved of $18,000 and Marshall a little over $24,000. And Dabo Sweeney catching a little bit of heat from a professor at Clemson who wrote a public letter to Dabo about his comments yesterday. You can go, it was posted at the website thegrio.com. And it's by a Clemson professor by the name of Shinjire Kumanika in the Department of Communication at Clemson. It's a long, long piece. Not even going to try to get into it, but he took exception to, in particular, Dabo's use of Dr. Martin Luther King in his comments yesterday. So you can go read that. Mm-hmm. And didn't you just say Nuke Hopkins had something to say?
Nuke Hopkins said that unless you've been there, I'll give you the exact quick quote on him. You can't speak on something unless you've been put in that situation. I wouldn't speak on something about something else if I had no idea what was going on or how they felt, because I couldn't relate to it. So I don't suggest anybody else do it. And he went on to tell a story about some things that happened in his childhood growing up in the upstate where he was called offensive names. He said he went to the principal and said, they're calling me the N-word. And the principal said, you're just going to have to get used to that because it's probably going to happen in your life. And so he shared that story. So that
where was that written?
Well, TigerNet agged it. I don't know where it was originally. So I'm reading this from
probably the Houston paper.
The Associated Press. But I'm reading this from TigerNet.
All right, let's jump to a couple of quick phone calls. 800-956-7266 is the number. To Columbia we go. Will, welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing?
Yeah, Coach Swinney really threw a hand grenade in y'all's bunker last night, but y'all have a good show. But you really do a great job with Sports Talk. But I suggest if anybody's going to quote the facts, they need to go to J. Christian Adams, who worked in the Obama Justice Department. He's come out in the last 2 or 3 years with a lot of data, and there was a lot of careless numbers thrown out. But really, in the final analysis, hell, let's don't move on. Let's just bash the crap out of people, and they probably ought to fire Sweeney and whatever. But that thing about your workplace, don't think you have First Amendment rights in the workplace. Go ask a teacher that teaches in the South Carolina public schools. If she has her own religious symbol, she does not have workplace religious rights. You guys need to read some things besides the sports section. There's a lot of crap going on that's not being
hang
covered.
on. Well,
hang up and listen.
All right, thank you. Now, we said the First Amendment rights do not pertain to the government jobs, such as a school teacher's job. If you work in a government job, then your First Amendment rights come into play. In the private workforce, from just what I read, I don't claim to be a scholar. If you have religious-based objections to things, then that's covered by a whole nother set of rules and laws. So a religious thing is different than just common everyday private workplace issues.
Well, and I think there are political protections too. You can't have a company that says, look, you have to go to this pro Hillary Clinton rally because that's what we're doing in this company.
Here's the thing. I mean, companies want to have good people work for them. They're not going to apply law rules that's going to drive away people.
Yes.
Because they're going to go out of business. So
Exactly.
the common sense comes into play. We don't have to deal with that kind of stuff because, they won't have people work for them. People will go find other jobs. So common sense comes into play and that protects us. But as far as the First Amendment goes, again, just reading it by the letter of the law, that's the way it is. That's how they wrote it up. All right, thanks for your phone call. We're going to go next to where? Where are we heading, Jarmar?
People do
We're
sue
going
for
out
wrongful
to
termination
Nelson
every
and
day.
Spartanburg for a quick
That
little
happens.
update.
Nelson
Nelson
in Spartanburg. All right, sir. Nelson, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, how you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Well, actually, that last gentleman just called. He's wrong. Title VII of the Civil Rights Code protects religious freedom in the workplace. So I don't want to get into all that. But to me, the NCAA and the ACC, they're delving into something where they have no business. For them to attack a state because a state stands up and passes the laws that North Carolina has, that's not something for them to involve themselves in. What needs to happen here is the other states that have ACC schools in them, along with most of the states, should go ahead and pass their own laws. I mean, where is this going to end? I'm not for offending anyone, but good grief. When you have to sit around and discuss whether or not men should be able to go in the bathrooms with little girls, we've lost our ever-loving mind. There's no way anyone can justify that kind of nonsense. But it's got crazy, and this is not the end. I mean, it's only going to become more crazy.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole logistics of the HB2 because it's not about men going into the women's bathroom. Transgender, if you identify as a woman, like Caitlyn Jenner, like I would be more comfortable with Caitlyn Jenner going into the bathroom with my 5-year-old daughter than going in the bathroom with me because she's a woman. I would not.
Plus, the state of North Carolina has no right for the NCAA to conduct business
and
where they don't want
the NCAA can do business exactly wherever it wants, and the ACC can as well.
I got a headache. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir, I can. Okay, no problem.
I'm an M&M's plain chocolate. I'm an M&M's plain chocolate center.
And I'm a roasted peanut.
And he's the M&M's candies man.
Who dunks M&M's?
Who dunks M&M's?
In chocolate, take a guess.
In chocolate, can you guess?
Who covers them in candy?
So there is no chocolate miss.
The M&M's man.
All right, it is time for the M&M's boys here on Sports Talk. Will Merritt and Corey Miller. Will, the former Clemson standout offensive lineman, and Corey, current major television host in the Midlands, former USC and NFL linebacker. And we're not going to talk bathrooms, and we're not going to talk anything.
Oh, why not?
We're not talking
that's
national
no fun,
anthem.
Phil. That's no fun.
Let's talk
not the bathrooms.
Let's talk about something more pressing, Will. What is wrong with your Clemson offense? What is going on up there?
Well, I mean, it's depressed. I mean, honestly, I think that, you know, what you've learned is you've learned that it takes a while to replace some guys. I mean, it does. And, you know, there's some people that, you know, need to be replaced. And they just played flat. They just they weren't sharp. They didn't look good. I thought the play calling was off. There's just a lot of things wrong. But you know what happened last year? After about 4 or 5 games, they figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And they got it right. And so, you know, Street and I talked about it a little bit on Sunday. When you replace guys up front, and Corey's I know he has to agree to this. We can argue all we want to, but he's going to agree to this. When you replace guys up front, that's the only group on the field that 5 guys have to play as one. And that's just not happening right now.
Mm.
And eventually they will. And when they do, it's going to be dangerous. But right now it's not happening.
I wanted to pass this along. I thought this was interesting. David Hale from ESPN tweeted this today. Clemson threw 2 FBS games last year and 2 FBS games this year. In 2015, their score rate 34.5. 2016, 34.5. Turnover rate 13.8. 13.8, exactly the same. Average drive distance, 26.7 yards. It's actually 29.6. Everything's exactly the same except drops. 2 in 2015.
Okay, and
4 in
those
2016.
those are great numbers if you're a CPA. But let me tell you where they ended up. They ended up in the college football playoff system. Okay, that's where they ended up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's don't jump off the cliff too quickly.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think that's the point. They started out slow last year, and they were rolling by the end of the year. They're really not off to any worse of a start this year against two comparable opponents. It was App State.
Actually, it's ironic. I actually think they're a better football team right now than they were after 2 games last year. I really do.
Corey, your Gamecock defense kind of reverted to a little bit of last year's form, which didn't make anybody happy.
No. Well, you're right. They take a step back and don't understand why when you look at how they've been practicing and how they came out, against Vanderbilt and played well, shut them out the second half. But, this team is going to have ebbs and flows. It really is. And it's not surprising to me. I don't expect anything great from this football team. I expect to see them get better, though. I expect to see them make some slight improvement each and every week. But, from listening to fans and speaking to going crazy, I mean, I'm like, what are you expecting? I mean, this is a team that don't have a lot of depth, don't have a lot of talent, new coach trying to find themselves. They're trying to play hard, so they're going to have those ups and downs. But, you got to tackle, though. That's one thing, though, you don't want questioning. You don't want your heart, your toughness questioned in this game. And that's what Will Muschamp was saying. And there's no excuse for that, going up and laying eggs when you're trying to tackle somebody. That tells me you're scared, you don't have heart, and that's not a good thing. But I'm pretty sure they'll fix that this week in practice, and they'll continue to come back here first game at home and play hard.
And can I say this, Corn?
Yeah.
That's what I love about what Corey just said is when you read his and I listen to it, but when you read his post game comments, he's not trying to hide behind anything. That's what I love about the guy. I mean, he is really identifying everything that's wrong every single week. And that's what you didn't have with Spurrier. And I know people that love Spurrier are not going to like what I had to say. But I just love the fact that he just walks up the podium and is like, yep, we sucked here. We sucked.
We got our butt kicked. I
like that, man. And and Dabo has done that for years. And look at what it's done for him.
Yeah, I mean, this team is going to get better. I mean, he's recruiting well. He's getting players in here. And he's going to, move those guys out the way that don't want to play. But, one thing I hate watching is somebody that's laying egg on the defense. I mean, if you're scared to tackle, get off the field. I mean, this is not the game for you. If you're scared of contact, get off the field. Another thing that I'm really disappointed in, and we'll talk about the offensive line at Clemson, I totally agree. 5 guys have to be on the same page. That's why continuity is so important with the offensive line, getting a group of guys that keep having to switch guys in and out of lineup. That's not good here at South Carolina. But one thing, you can't get off the bus looking like Tarzan and play like James. I mean, and that's what I think.
Oops, hang on a second, Corey. I think somebody's line dropped. Let's bring Corey back up while you get can we bring Corey back up while we get Will?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Corey. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they look so good. One of the biggest offensive lines in the SEC. But they going out there playing like James. I mean, they're getting off the bus, and you looking at them going, wow, they're going to be knocking folks off the ball, creating some space and lanes for these running backs. 34 yards rushing. I mean, that's pathetic. And when you talk about you see offensive line that you don't want to hit people in the mouth, you don't want to drop those hips and drive them off the ball, that's a problem. I mean, and Sean Elliott, who I love as a coach, he got to go old school. You got to, they need to get swift sometimes. They got to get a good swift, Phil, and get these guys moving. There's no excuse for getting your butts kicked by the defensive line. Not just last week, but I saw the same thing against Vanderbilt. And to me, that is the most disappointing thing thus far early in this football season for South Carolina is the play of the offensive line. Something has to change.
Now, I was about to ask you, Corey, you look at the offensive line, and you could see a couple of plays during the game when it seemed at Mississippi State, when they ran like a sweep, everybody was cheating over to that side. And you had Orr wouldn't run the football. It was almost like A.J. Turner didn't want to take it at one time. He said, man, look it's in front of you. Everything is clear. And he handed it to him, and he just got crashed. How much is it early in a football game when you have a desperate Mississippi State that you don't run more misdirection?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Of course. For a
second?
Yeah.
Okay. There's an old Jerry Clower quote that says, "Let Calhoun have it." I don't know if y'all have ever heard that or not. Let Calhoun have it.
What does that mean? That before? What does it mean?
No,
Calhoun?
No, it was what Jerry Clower made famous about his stand-up bit about let Calhoun have it. He had a stud running back, and the fans would say,
"We're losing you, Will."
Yeah. Well, let me answer Pro's question real quick. The fact that he's got to be.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Be able to run the football, and that's why you saw the change at halftime with Brandon McElwain, because he don't mind running the football. I think Perry Orr played a little bit scared. He didn't want to take those shots. I mean, you got to be able to, in that read zone, and those guys are crashing in. You got to take the ball, pull it out the belly of the running back, and you got to run it and hit those creases.
Yeah, Will, go ahead.
Okay, Jerry Clower had this great stand-up.
What's going on here?
About let Calhoun have it. And the fans would just stand up and cheer. Let Calhoun have it. And finally, Calhoun got the ball, and he said, I don't want it. Like, I don't want the ball, because the defense was destroying him every play. And sometimes I feel like that's what's happening with South Carolina right now.
Well, did Wayne Gallman not want the ball last Saturday? He only, carried it like 8 or 9 times.
They didn't give him the ball.
He didn't have a choice, because they wanted. Here's what's going on there too. They want to make Deshaun Watson the Heisman Trophy winner, and I think sometimes and I don't think he's ready for that.
That's not true. That's not true.
All right, hang on. That's good. Hey, he did throw it 50-something times.
Exactly against Troy.
All right, hang on. Will, calm down. Hold on. We're gonna come back. Somebody put something in
Let
Will's
Calhoun
coffee
have
this
it.
afternoon. Yeah. Hang on, we'll come right back to you. M&M Boys here on Sports Talk.
Ask Corey about the offensive line from both teams. Ask him that. Let him talk about that.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on this Wednesday night, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. I can't remember who was talking last. I think they were both talking together.
We'll dominate the first segment.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, my point was, let me go back to Deshaun Watson. I think
Will
they really
chill.
want him to win the Heisman
Chill,
Trophy.
Will.
I mean, and I understand why they want him to win the Heisman Trophy. He's a great football player, and I think too much of the play calling. Will already alluded to this, that he didn't like the play calling. It wasn't that good. But I said this last year, and I stay true to this. Wayne Gallman really is the engine with this offense. If he is going, he's one of the best running backs, I think, in the country. And they need to feed him the football. And when he gets going, that opens up the passing game, the play action, everything else for Deshaun Watson. But here's another issue to watch. I think Deshaun Watson don't want to run the ball as much because, listen, he's already got a $5 million insurance policy. Don't think when they're saying he's the number one pick in the draft coming up this year, he don't want to take all those shots in the run game. The way they ran him last year. So they got a little pickle going on. I promise you, behind closed door, that's been talked about. Because he hasn't been running that football the way and the intensity he ran last year.
Corey, this is me being patient, okay? This is me being patient. How many games did y'all win last year?
I didn't win any.
Okay, how many games did South Carolina win last year?
Trey.
That's French for 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So compare that to 14-1 and playing the college playoff.
Yeah, because they were running for Gallman and opening up the ball game for Watson. I mean, it's not about who's the best team, but
they're playing Troy and they won.
And they barely won. That's what I'm saying. That game shouldn't have been close.
Won, but guess what they did? They put another one in the left column, Corey. They put one.
I get it, but eventually that bites you if you don't.
What did y'all do last weekend? You put one in the right column.
and if I'm not mistaken, I picked that they would lose, and you picked that they would win.
Yeah, I did. At that.
All right. Let me step in here.
Okay,
So Will, you're just saying you're 2-0. The world is great at Clemson. You're not worried. You're not worried. You'll be 3. Look. You'll be 3-0. You'll be 3-0 after this Saturday, and you're going to go to Atlanta.
So who's going to argue? Everybody started the season going, well, I mean, I don't know how we're going to get through the first 3 seasons of the game. Guess what you did? You went through 3-0.
So we should go and get our tickets to Pluto for the ACC championship game.
No, not at all. Because if this team plays like they did against that football team against Troy, they will lose to Louisville. They will lose to Florida State.
Well, that's the point we're trying to make.
That's what I made. That's the point I'm making.
You got to have some concern about the performance, not just the result, but the performance.
But until they lose, what are you going to say?
Okay. Hey, Pastor Payne.
last year, that's all anybody said. Well, this is the week. This is the week.
Yes.
This is the week.
All right, let me ask
And
the
then
pastor.
I remember going, Phil, I remember going on your show last year, right before Oklahoma, and Corey said, this is the week that Clemson gets beat by 20.
Hey, Will, how many Red Bulls did you have in the last half hour?
Yeah, well, go ahead, Phil.
Pastor,
That's just me. That's just me, bro.
I understand. Pastor Payne, real quick,
Yes.
is it time now just to hand the keys to McElwain after 2 games and just let him do his thing and live and die with him here moving forward at South Carolina?
You know,
He's going to give South Carolina the best opportunity to win. He's going to get better, more accurate throwing the football. I believe Kurt Roper needs to instill a system that fits his skill set. Let him go play. He's a winner. He likes to compete, and I think it's going to help with the offensive line not playing well right now with him in the ballgame. So yes, give him the keys. Let him drive. They don't have a Ferrari yet. Let him drive his little 330 BMW and see what happens. Then you can upgrade him later on as the season go on. But I'm taking South Carolina before we get to the pick to win against East Carolina. Deke Adams on the other side. I know some competition there, but South Carolina will win their first home game. But Will Muschamp, they'll play much better this week.
And Phil,
Yes, sir, Will. Yes, sir.
Look,
Yes, sir.
you can tell who has money and who doesn't. I drive a Ford F-150.
Uh-huh.
He's referencing an BMW 3, whatever he said.
330. Hey, F-150 costs more than that.
I drive an old beat up F-150 with 200,000 miles.
Hey,
So,
Corey
there you
pays
go.
more. Corey pays more for the rims on his car than I pay for my car. Okay?
Hey, I'm driving a Subaru, Fox Sports Subaru.
More for his breakfast than I pay for my rims on my truck.
Well, Will, real quick, do you think the Gamecocks should go with McElwain now? And
Yeah, of
you
course.
think it's time?
I picked them last week, and listen, I think it was just a bad loss last week. I mean, they should have won that ball game. So I think they're going to win a bunch of ball games. Here's what I love about Will Muschamp. Here's what I love about him.
Mm-hmm.
I actually see a lot of Dabo in him. I really do. I see a lot of just energy and just enthusiasm, and he just is instilling things in players, and that's what Clemson needed. That's exactly what Clemson needed, and that's what got them back on track.
So,
well, I mean, maybe he'll preach. Maybe he's gonna preach next week.
Yeah, but his press conferences aren't as entertaining by a long shot.
Nearly. All right, real quick, Will, are you picking the Gamecocks to beat East Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, he's scared now.
I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared after my pick last week. Like
he's like Dabo, though. Will he's like Dabo?
Yeah.
Pick him.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think
he's like Dabo.
My house is like shoot me in the head because I picked South Carolina. But yes, I think they're going to win. I think they'll go to 2-1.
And Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, as I said, I think they're going to win this ball game. I think the 82,000+ sold out. They're going to create a great atmosphere here at South Carolina. And I think they'll play better. He's going to motivate them. I know they've been working hard this week. And he apologized. Will Muschamp, I need to see Coach Boone. I want to see Spurs up. I need you to lose your mind on the sideline, and that's going to get them going. I think that might happen on Saturday here at 4 o'clock. And I'm taking Buddy Pugh and South Carolina State to beat Clemson.
hey, let me ask you guys. Who said the Red Bulls? Me or Corey?
No,
I think he had a little vodka with his.
Absolutely, Corey.
I'm kidding on that. I'm kidding.
For no reason whatsoever.
Corey chasing his Red Bull with something. All right, listen. Guys, we thank you so much. Have a great week. Corey, thank you. We'll look for you on the television. Will, you've got TV this weekend with Pete Yannity, so enjoy that.
I do. Yeah, I got Tennessee and Mercer on ESPN2 this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. And so it's going to be fun.
We'll be looking for you. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Will, let Pete talk a little bit. Don't be all that crazy energy like you're doing right now. Slow down. Take a breath.
Hey, Corey. I got something for you. I'll talk to you later on.
All right.
Peanuts.
Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. Good gracious. All right. What a duo. Will Merritt and the pastor of Payne, Corey Miller. We thank them for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And that's going to get even better as we get into the meat of the schedule. You know, right now with Clemson, the Auburn game, of course, had everybody juiced, but the fans don't have much to really sink their teeth into right now. The Troy game gave them a scare. This game is a pass this week, but after this weekend, with the meat of the schedule coming up with Georgia Tech and Louisville right around the corner.
And they get a preview of the Louisville Cardinals at home at high noon against Florida State.
Yeah, that's going to be a great football game. And South Carolina now returning home. There should be a packed house. I think the game is a sellout. And I really think McElwain's going to get the start. And, for South Carolina's standpoint, this is a good opportunity against a defense that will not, I don't think, present them with near the problems. I watched Deke Adams have a defensive front that just annihilates the USC offensive line. All those Gamecock fans who thought Deke Adams couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag now might see him come in with a group that hampers their team, and that would be a turnaround. All right, recruiting and more coming up. Second hour.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, back with you, Sports Talk. Whew. Trying to cool off after the matchup of Will and the Pastor of Pain there in the last half hour. By the way, tomorrow night, of course, another great show for you tomorrow night. We will be live over at Steve Tannehill's Group Therapy. Going to get some therapy. I need some therapy. So I'm going to I asked my doctor, I said, Doc, if I need therapy, where should I go? He suggested a place called Group Therapy.
Group Therapy.
Yeah. So
just going to bend the elbow.
Just going to go over there. No, Steve's got a gathering of USC alum football players. He invited us to come over. Of course, he'll be on with us for his segment with the coach, Chuck Reedy. So looking forward to being over there at the new and improved Steve Tannehill's Group Therapy in 5 Points on Hardin Street. I'll be out of there before any of the hot action begins.
Gamecock and Steel.
Imagine a lot of that. All right, we got to catch up on a couple things here. Got some business to take care of. And first of all, want to get to our high school report for tonight, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. And South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance is want to remind you that new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Okay, so we want to give you the polls of the week in high school football, courtesy of the High School Sports Report. The new rankings for this week in 5A, Dutch Fork. David Shelton and I were discussing this right. And again on Monday, would you go with West Side? Would you go with Dutch Fork? They've got Dutch Fork 1, West Side 2, then Fort Dorchester, Gaffney, and Greenwood, then Northwestern, Boiling Springs, Spartanburg, Sumter, and Blythewood. In 4A, Hartsville is number 1. Myrtle Beach is number 2. South Point is 3, followed by Ridgeview, then Cane Bay. Then it's Hilton Head, North Myrtle, Belton Honeypath, North Augusta, and Richland Northeast at number 10. In 3A, Dillon leads the way, ahead of Bluffton, Brooklyn, Casey, Bishop England, and Chapman. Then it's Timberland, Strom Thurmond, Woodruff, Lake City, and Gilbert. In 2A, it's Abbeville, number 1, followed by Southside Christian, Barnwell, Bamberg, Earhart, Calhoun County. Then it's Saluda, Liberty, Andrews, Batesburg, Leesville, and Cheraw. Oh, and sitting down there at 18, a team on the move, the Latta Vikings. And in 1A, Lamar is number 1, followed by Lakeview, Louisville, Baptist Hill, and Cross. Then it's Wagner, Sally, C.E. Murray, St. John's, McBee, and Ridge Spring, Monetta. Sorry, guys, no Pillion and no Denmark Oler anywhere. Oh, I take that back. Denmark Oler is ranked 15th with a record of 1-2.
You got to be kidding.
I kid you not.
Denmark Oler is a basketball school, not a football school.
But when you were there, it was a football power, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure it was. Yeah, K-Mac, no Pillion inside.
Okay. Well, they're
just keeping you up to date.
Team. Second half of the season.
You think so?
Sure.
All right, to recruiting now. We'll begin on the basketball side. Ejike Obina of Ashburn, Virginia, reduced his list by 1 after Oklahoma filled his spot on its roster, so he's cut the Sooners from the list and canceled his official there. He's been to Clemson. He's been to Florida. He's going to Vandy September 23rd. He's also considering Virginia Tech. Vandy coach Bryce Drew was in on Friday. Virginia Tech coach Buzz Williams and 3 assistants were there on Sunday. Brad Brownell from Clemson and assistant Mike Winecki were in on Monday. Florida coach Mike White was in last night, and Drew and 3 assistants were coming back in today. Obina said it was hard to distinguish much between the Tigers and the Gators after his first 2 official visits. He said both were great. He hears from the coaches on both sides regularly. He did say he's had a relationship with Coach Winecki at Clemson for a long time. He said he couldn't ask for more on the Clemson visit. He really enjoyed it. He said it was close to perfect. It felt like home to him. Still not claiming a favorite. We'll wait until after the visits to decide on one, and planning to sign in November. Now, Zion Williamson from Spartanburg Day, the 2018 standout. Coaches have been beating a path to his door. Up in Spartanburg, Clemson, USC, North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Tennessee. They've been in. UCLA was to be in today. He was supposed to meet with Tennessee yesterday, but was home sick, and that meeting will be rescheduled. By the way, UCLA is scheduled for tomorrow, not today. So UCLA is coming in tomorrow. USC and Clemson, of course, going after him very hard, trying to keep him in state. He has Clemson ties in that his father, Lee Anderson, played for the Tigers from 75 to 78 before completing his career at Columbus State. Now, Williamson has been dubbed by some the #1 player in the country for 2018. He says he loves having that designation. It's not going to affect him as a player or as a person. He averaged 28 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks per game last season. He wants to cut his list down next summer. He wants to sign in November of 2017. He says the Tigers and Gamecocks are both legitimate possibilities because they are in state. He feels like he gets a good vibe when he visits both places. He likes both head coaches. He likes USC's style of play, he said. He loves the way Frank Martin coaches his players and preaches defense. And he said Brownell told him joining Clemson is a life thing. They're always going to look out for him. And he said they always preach about family and what they can do for his future. As far as having the blue bloods of basketball recruiting him compared to the in-state schools, he said college is college to him. He's going to pick a school that gives him that family vibe and the school that tells him that if I come to this school, it's a life thing. And athletically. For Clyde Trapp of Little Richland was offered by Georgia and Georgia Tech on Tuesday, according to Phenom Hoop Report. And USC coach Frank Martin was scheduled to visit with him today, according to former Gamecock captain Kerry Rich. Now in football, defensive end Matthew Butler of Garner, North Carolina, he is not revealing his official visits until the week of that visit, as far as the dates are concerned. We know who he's visiting, but date-wise, he's not revealing that until the week of the visit. So this weekend, he's going to Penn State. Last week, he was at Duke. USC is going to get one of those visits for one of the early games in October, Texas A&M or Georgia. He also will visit Tennessee and NC State. He said the Duke visit went very well for him, and he saw the uniqueness of Duke, and now he wants to see the uniqueness of the other schools. He is hearing regularly from USC recruiter Lance Thompson, last talking to him on Sunday. No favorite at this point from the 5 schools he's considering. Defensive back Latheron Rogers Anderson of Ridgeview committed last night to East Carolina. 2018 tight end Trey Ross of Randleman, North Carolina, will visit Clemson Saturday, according to NC Preps. Quickly, who's from Randleman, North Carolina?
I have
It's
no
me.
idea.
Oh, come on, people.
No.
I don't.
2 very famous people in our lives. Richard Petty and Bob Bradley was from Randleman, North Carolina.
Oh, how could we not know
The
that?
late Bob Bradley.
2018 defensive end Elijah Brown of Charlotte will visit Clemson this weekend, according to the Observer. All right, quickly, who's from Charlotte? 2018 defensive back C.J. Smith of West Palm Beach, Florida, favors Clemson. He's not yet been offered. This is what he told his newspaper down there. He's not yet been offered. He has offers from Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Louisville, LSU, Michigan, Nebraska, North Carolina, Ohio State, and others. Now, don't know what Clemson's waiting on because the kid said once he gets a Clemson commitment, he'll commit. That's been his favorite school. So, all right, there you go with recruiting at K-Mac. You got any recruiting you want to share
I
with
do
us?
not.
Yeah.
No.
None whatsoever.
None.
You haven't secretly been making recruiting calls.
No, haven't. I've been
teenage
secretly
boys.
doing a lot of things, but no.
Yeah.
Making recruiting calls is not one of them.
You don't know what you're missing.
Actually, I do.
It's a part of your career that you just let go by the boards, and I
Thank
think
goodness.
down the road it's going to come back to bite you.
I'm sure it will.
All right, we'll hit a break and come back with more here on Sports Talk. If you'd like to join us, 800-956-7266. Got some Gamecocks and Tigers coming your way as well on this Wednesday night.
No one gives you more on the Tigers. This is Sports Talk.
All right, the Clemson Tigers getting ready for South Carolina State on Saturday. Tigers 2-0, but you know what? A lot of belly aching going on up there. All of a sudden, all these glowing stories I've been reading up there on Clemson from their websites from the spring to now, which led me to believe that the Tigers would never lose another football game.
And they may not.
They may not. I mean, so far my prediction is holding true that they will never lose a football game again the rest of humanity, however long that happens to be, which, anyway. Yeah. So anyway, the Tigers are still 2-0. Might not be as dominant as people thought they were going to be to this point, but as Will pointed out in his segment with us, a lot of season left to go, and he believes they're going to cut it loose. Somebody's going to pay the price. Now, South Carolina State aside, somebody's going to pay the price. Might be Georgia Tech here coming up. Now, Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, he saw his defense the last two games have to hang on, against Auburn. After Dabo decided not to go field goal, the offense got stuffed. The defense did allow Auburn to move into a dangerous position before they made two good plays in the end zone. And then, it looked like they had Troy in the bag with a 17-point lead, and then Troy scores on his last two possessions, and they're an onside kick away from having a chance to win that game. So in talking with us yesterday, Venables made it clear that, while he's not down on his team, they got to get back to finding that way to close teams out, finding that little bit of extra knockout punch defensively, and it's something he's working on.
I'm very disappointed in, again, our inability to finish the game the right way. I thought that Troy came out and they executed well, had a 14-play drive and an 8-play drive, and under duress, we've seen a variety of pressures and some tight man-to-man coverage and things that had worked all day. They executed versus those same calls there in those last two drives. Disappointed that, again, we had opportunities to get off the field and keep them out of the end zone. And we didn't do it, dropped interceptions and pass interference calls, two of those, and a late hit. And we lost leverage on 4th and 6 on a very simple, basic stick out scheme by the number 2 receiver. And just, again, lacked that. I don't know if it's killer instinct or whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's the same result. You can describe it a lot of different ways, but, not disturbing or whatever, just makes you mad. And because, we had our opportunities there. And but, that being said, it's a young season through 2 games. There's a lot to like, and we got a lot to learn. We got plenty of things to get better at. And I got to clean up some tackling and clean up some coverage and some technique. Everybody has issues to different degrees, and I think our issues are correctable. We're continuing to develop our team and our chemistry and our different packages. And, I'm really excited about the group of guys that we have to coach. I think it's a group of guys that are competitive, they're coachable, they're intelligent, we're talented. We have some competitive depth at some positions and some that we've got to still develop. But, our guys for the first 2 games felt like they had great preparation, came out with great intensity, focus, passion, toughness, all of that, through 2 games. Responded at halftime in 2 tight games, came out same way, with a great desire and focus to compete. And so that's expected, but at the same time, it doesn't always happen. And we've had that. And those are things that you feel like you can build on, and you'll continue to grow and improve as the season goes on. As a result, this is a group of guys that care deeply for each other, and that want to do well, and that want to create their own identity. And so we'll see a variety of team schemes, skill sets as we go along throughout the year, a lot of different challenges. And, moving forward, there's a lot to be hopeful for, as a coach.
All right, there you go. Brent Venables talking about his defense and trying to get them right, at least for the final portions of games, I think, for the most part, with the tackles for loss and things of that nature. They've been pretty good. They got a lot of tackles for loss. They're in the top 10 nationally in the NCAA after 2 games in tackles for loss, but they can't be happy. The last 5 minutes came back on Saturday defensively. They almost let that thing slip away from them against Troy. It could have been real scary there in the final few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of those calls go the other way because there were some calls, some near fumbles, depending on which color glasses you wear, or which allegiances you have, maybe missed fumbles. But, yeah, Clemson made that far closer than it needed to be, and some people would say they made the Auburn game far closer than they needed to be. But at the end of the day, they did win those games. They sputtered around on offense and played poorly. They haven't played up to their standard, and they're still winning. What I think you have to be really encouraged with is the defense. I think they've exceeded all expectations by and large to this point. They have what looks to be a lot of good players starting, some good depth, guys that are stepping up, really good young players that look like they're going to live up to their billing. I like what I'm seeing on the Clemson defense, and I'm sorry, they're just too good offensively. They have too many weapons to be held in check all season long. They are going to figure it out. You can see it when you watch them. When you watch them in person, I don't know how it, I've watched some of the games again on TV. I don't think you can see guys are getting up. Their timing's off. And there's plays to be had there. They're not making those plays yet. They will. And there's a lot of different guys that are capable of making those plays.
And in this particular week, I would not play Ben Boulware. You got a big ACC contest coming up next week. Plus, you get to look at some other players that need to be looked at, because when you play Louisville, that's going to be a track meet. And then you got to play Florida State down the road. You're going to need his leadership on that field. He does not need to aggravate that injury by playing against SC State.
Yeah, I would think they'd leave him out. I mean, get a younger guy in there to get more experience, and there's no sense aggravating that injury in this particular game. I mean, if Clemson is in dire need of Ben Boulware against South Carolina State for whatever reason, then that's a sad situation for Clemson. That should not be the case. I would think that their hope would be a very good first half, get some rhythm going between Watson and those receivers, see if the receivers can hang on to the football. I mean, if you're open and catching the football is something that should be second nature to these guys, and they're just having the dropsies. I can understand maybe some of the young guys, but this is happening to the veterans too. And they've got it's a focus thing, it's an intensity thing, according to Dabo, and maybe it goes back to all this offseason of acclaim and people saying, Clemson's a lock for the national championship game. Some people saying the Tigers will never lose a game again, things of that nature. What?
You said it.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they're reading their clippings and listening to all this bravado about them, and they've lost a little bit of that edge. Last year, the unknown, they had to fight their way up the polls. They had to know that every win was important, and style points were important too as they moved up through the season, trying to move up in the polls. Maybe they've lost a little bit of that edge here early on, and it's going to take – you hope it doesn't take a loss. Sometimes a loss shakes your tree a little bit, and you find what you were missing. But you don't want to go through that and have reality smack you in the face.
Well, the interesting thing is I thought Dabo played it pretty good the last 2 years in letting the fans know that they had a good football team, but he also almost instilled an underdog attitude. Y'all still don't believe in us, do you? They don't have that now. It's almost like they have switched to being the hunted, and they don't like that role too much.
I think I said this a while back.
Oh my God!
Who would you rather be?
No, you were talking about the fans.
Well, that's
you weren't talking about the
Their
team.
fans are the same way. We'll be right back.
No one gives you more Gamecock coverage. This is Sports Talk.
We continue with Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, and we remind you to relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union, and it's located in the heart of Gamecock Country. Founders Russell House location is available to help you with all your financial needs. Plus, they have a cash and check accepting ATM located at ATM Row behind the Russell House. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Dabo Sweeney just talked with the media a few minutes ago. We'll bring you some of that coming up after our next break. But the Gamecocks are getting ready for East Carolina. Legitimate concern here. The Pirates coming in 2-0. They're feeling pretty good coming off their win over NC State. They have a terrific offense through 2 games with a quarterback who has just been incredible. 83% completion mark for him to this point. Defensively, they gave up 30 points against NC State. Before that, they held Western Carolina to just a touchdown. So, NC State scored a bunch of points. Maybe that's an indication that South Carolina can do some damage here with their offense. It should be a fun game, K-Mac, in Columbia. The Gamecock fans have been waiting a long time to see their team back in action after 2 road games to open the season. And they are favored. The line is down to 3. They still are a favorite and a chance to get.
Don't bet that line. Don't bet. Don't ever bet on the Gamecocks.
Oh, ever?
It's time to remind people, you never, ever, ever bet on a South Carolina sporting event. This is a universally known fact.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay.
All right. So A.J. Turner, who had the really good game against Vandy, was stuffed in the running game at Mississippi State. Not all his fault, of course. I mean, he's just got to run where he can. There wasn't a lot of places to run. But you had a chance to listen in with him yesterday at the players press conference and get his thoughts on how things are going so far.
Well, yeah, and the big issue for the Gamecock offense, it all begins up front. Was supposed to be a strength. They've struggled a bit in the first 2 games, and A.J. Turner knows that they've got to be better there as well.
Yeah, it's hard, going into the line of scrimmage and having people run at you. But I think we're going to work on that this week and just make sure everybody knows what they're doing as far as their assignments and making sure everybody's blocked. So I don't put the blame on anybody. It's all of our faults. We didn't execute this past Saturday, and I think that's what we're going to work on this week.
What did you guys tell the offensive linemen on the way back?
We just got to play better football. We got to be sound with our assignments and our fundamentals. And, like I said, it's not just them. Some of it is my fault. I could have had a few cutbacks, or I could have pressed it front side more. It was just a group thing. I just think we were too antsy. We were too just too worried about, the game as far as, overdoing it and doing too much, because I know Coach Muschamp that week, he was stressing physicality, making sure we're all being physical, which goes into flags, and everything like that. So I think we're gonna work on everything. We've watched the tape, we've seen what we did wrong. We're gonna work on it this week.
There's a big difference between the second half, what you guys are able to put up some scores in the first half.
Definitely, I think second half we played with the a faster tempo. Play with a faster tempo, and I feel like that's how our offense is. I feel we do better when we play faster, and I think that's what Brandon McElwain brings to the table as far as the quarterback. He's able to hurry up the offense and make plays, and the defense gets tired at some point, and we condition every day. We run enough to be able to run the no huddle offense, the whole drive. So I just think if we do that, I think we'll be fine, and we're gonna execute more plays.
AJ, what's this? Did you get that during the game?
Yeah, I got this during the game. It was 4th and 1, a speed option to their sideline, and I got cracked back, man. I was looking to see if Brandon's going to pitch the ball, and something in my helmet cut me in the face, so I have 6 stitches, but I'm fine. I'm still practicing, still hitting and stuff. So
with the amount of carries you've gotten the first 2 games, as well as the touches in the passing game, how important do you consider yourself in the success of the offense?
I think the running back position is very important. You have to produce when you get the ball. I think that's the most important thing, just being able to produce whenever you get the chance or wherever you get the opportunity to. So I just have to make plays and produce whenever I get the ball, because not necessarily every game we're going to run heavy. It depends on what the defense is like their schematics. We're might pass more, or there might be a game we do quick passes or long bombs, or just a game we just play smash mouth football. So I just have to be ready regardless whenever my number's called.
The offense is doing better, has more life to it when Brandon's back there.
I'm not going to say it has more life, but I believe, like I said, it has a higher tempo. So everybody's more urgent about their jobs and their assignments. And I believe that when Brandon's in, he has the ability to run and pass. So I think that's a really dangerous thing for the defense. So.
All right, A.J. Turner, who's looked good. He's looked good for the most part. Yeah. And give him a little bit of room, he will tote the pigskin and get you some yards. You got to give him some room, though. And Gamecock offensive line has got to they got to pick it up, and they got to start this week against East Carolina. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney coming up here in just a few minutes after the next break. Want to get into our high school football players of the week, brought to you by AARP. And if you're ready to explore something new, move on, or change directions, AARP can help. You'll join a community of people who, like you, are rethinking what's next. We'll help you to find new opportunities by providing access to tools, resources, and information that can help you with whatever path you take. AARP South Carolina, proud to sponsor the High School Player of the Week. AARP, real possibilities. And the Players of the Week, courtesy of the High School Sports Report. We lean on them for their knowledge. The Skeeza Player of the Week is Bryce Thompson from Ben Lippen. Top prospect in Skeeza, who's already committed to Virginia Tech, rushed for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns, blocked the field goal, returned an interception for a touchdown to help end Hammond's 27-game winning streak. Class A Player of the Week is Corey Fields of Baptist Hill. Junior quarterback passed for 289 yards and 3 touchdowns, 16 of 24. Currently leads the state in passing with 1,228 yards, 14 touchdowns. The 2A Player of the Week is Deion Singleton of Wade Hampton of Hampton. Put up 213 yards passing, 145 yards rushing in a loss to Barnwell. 3A Player of the Week, Leo Albino from Bishop, England. He's quarterback, and he completed 11 of 15, 237 yards and 3 touchdowns, 122 yards rushing and 3 more touchdowns in a win over Porter Gould, 42-21, to make his team 4-0. In 4A, Tyon Evans of Hartsville, 237 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns on 9 carries. What's that average? I turned to you to get the average.
What was that?
237 yards on 9 carries.
That sounds like about 25.
I'll put it.
That's about 30 yards a carry, isn't it?
Yes, that's at least.
Right? 230, 23 carry to 2, drop the yeah. Hartsville's undefeated. And in 5A, Player of the Week is Gage Maloney of Northwestern, 29 of 39, 443 yards and 4 touchdowns, ran for another, and the Trojans defeated Burns. Congratulations to those Players of the Week, and thanks to AARP for recognizing the young talent in South Carolina. By the way, the Shrine Bowl, believe it or not, this is still September.
Yes.
The Shrine Bowl is about to pick their teams for this year. I believe they're meeting here either this weekend or next weekend.
Let the politics begin.
Always, but I mean, that's very, very early.
Yes, really.
This will be the 80th annual Shrine Bowl game. And let me see if I can find here the actual date for them selecting the teams. I'll have to look and get back to you on that, but I believe it's coming up soon. I was told it was going to be here in September, which is most unusual and very early for the Shrine Bowl. But this because they had those combines in the spring and summer, and they already know who the top players are. Dabo Swinney coming up here on Sports Talk.
Oh, it's good. It's been a good, really good week. Just kind of trying to create the eye intensity that you got to have.
Go back and watch Notre Dame.
I think. Oh, it's good. It's been a good, really.
Okay, we're back. South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, the professor, Tom Hayes, and Jar March, Jared Martin Rogers, all with you. Carson Mason in the house as well. Carson Nova doing some work behind the scenes. Always good to see her.
She's back.
She is back in all her glory. Dabo Sweeney, once again, meeting with the media today. A little while ago after the Tigers practice. No major news that I have heard coming from this so far. I mean, Boulware is available if they want to play him, but I think they'd like to hold him out. So no major news. They got South Carolina State this weekend, and we pick up his comments where he was asked about this game in terms of preparation, but also knowing that Georgia Tech is coming up on a short week next Thursday, and he was asked about how they are sort of working things, preparing for the Bulldogs, but also knowing they've got to get ready for that tough Georgia Tech team.
It's not, obviously we've known the schedule since the spring, so we plan it well in advance. We have a plan of practice, plan of preparation from the spring, things we do to fall camp, and then practice schedule wise, all that stuff And last year we had, good experience. It just seems like every year we're on the road. Our first conference game. I played one Thursday night game. I'm not lobbying for Thursday night games at home, but it sure gets old having to play them all on the road. It's a challenge, especially playing Georgia Tech, because they're a very difficult opponent to get ready for just because of what they do schematically. I mean, it's just hard, especially for our defense. But it's hard for them too. I mean, they've got a game Saturday, and they got to turn around and get ready for Clemson. It's just tough. I mean, you play whatever was that 2 games in 5 days. It's pretty hard, but we'll be ready.
Being a
Sometimes, I kind of like it too, because it's like, all right, let's lace them up and go play. Feel like a basketball coach. Get to play, and they don't have to wait so long to get to the next game.
Being that you put their the confidence they're running all, how much of that did you introduce in your camp to get them ready? Because you only got so many days.
We try to get ready for a lot of our opponents in camp. There's a lot of seasonal installation that goes on that we're preparing our guys for the season, different opponents, things that we've done as we've studied in the spring all summer long. We have breakdowns on everybody. But I don't think that's different for, I think most people probably do that. And so when you plan your installation for the spring and for the fall, you typically plan it based on things that you're going to want to do throughout the course of the season. And as you kind of peek at the opponents, and then as you get some film on those opponents, you try to validate, because sometimes they change what they're doing or different things like that. But you're looking for validation off of this year's tape, and then the personnel from this year, because all you got is last year's tape coming into the season.
Did you do anything as a team to observe Deshaun's birthday today?
Happy birthday! We just said happy birthday to him. Lee Turnipseed's birthday, Julie Venable's birthday, Deshaun's birthday. So a lot of neat people born today.
No, I asked you yesterday about the FCS deal, but just to clarify, when you do make the schedule, why not a second FBS? It could be a mid-major or whoever in an FCS team.
Well, I mean, we definitely could do that, but that's just kind of been our formula. We've tried to play one of these teams from the in-state.
Sure.
That's where we've kept it in the state. Before I went out of state to get another one of those teams, I'd rather play another mid-major type of team. But I just think it's great for Furman, for Wofford, and Citadel, and South Carolina State. It's great. But really nothing more than that.
Coach, now that ACC title game will not be in Charlotte, is Pluto back on the table?
Is Pluto a planet? Did it make a comeback?
Been there before.
Coach Spurrier retired and Pluto's
I think last year the moon was an option for Notre Dame.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I tell you, I have no idea. But as I said yesterday, we just want to be in it. Wherever it's at, hopefully we can be there. We'll have it here at Clemson. We'd be glad to host it right here. I don't know if they'll go for that.
Columbia's been floated.
Columbia? That'd be interesting. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm sure they'll get a plan figured out. But again, for us, and I'm sure for all the teams, just want to be in the game and all that other stuff. We don't have any control over that.
What's better, Pluto or Columbia?
Well, you can breathe in Columbia. I don't think you can breathe in Pluto.
Coach,
I don't think.
Taj Boy went on ESPN today to try to defend some of the statements that you made yesterday with people who misinterpreted and misunderstood them. Taj said that you were the most genuine, fair, and loving man that he's ever met. Talked in great length about how much he respected you. What does it mean to you to hear Taj talk about you that way?
Well, I didn't know he did that, but I appreciate that. I mean, it's again, I think anytime you make statements, people are going to agree with them or not agree with them. And sometimes people attack you, and certainly I'm not an attacking person, but I appreciate that. People. What matters to me are people who know me, and what's in my heart, and what the good Lord put in my heart. Those are the things that matter to me. So the people that know who I am, they know exactly what I meant, and didn't mean anything negative or anything like that. To answer the question, it's a shame.
All right, Dabo Sweeney, interesting stuff from him once again as things were wrapping up in his meeting with the media this afternoon. And he did get some blowback from some people. As we mentioned, the letter from a professor there at Clemson, and also a little bit from Nuke Hopkins. But I agree with Dabo in that he was answering a question, and I don't think he meant to hurt anybody's feelings or say anything like that. He was asking a question with an opinion type answer, and he gave it, and he cited, a number of different things, which, to my limited knowledge about everything, sounded legit to me and sounded very nice and fair and
well, you agree with it. I mean, that's
caring.
fine. You agree. But when you have an opinion, like he said, there are going to be people that don't agree with it when you have an opinion like that. And when you are speaking to another group of people that you aren't in and telling them what their experience is like and what their life is like, some people might disagree with. And that's what you saw with Nuke Hopkins. That's what you saw with the professor. And that's okay. I mean, doesn't mean he can't have it. It doesn't mean, and he was answering a question, and he knew, I'm sure, in his mind, and he said it. I think he knew that he could face some of the blowback. But I agree with you. I don't think he was saying it to be malicious or hateful or wrong, bro.
And the key point is, we can only express ourselves through our experiences. And if I don't know what you're thinking through your experience, I accept what you say because I want you to accept what I'm conveying to you through my experiences. That's how we communicate. That's how we advance. You don't advance shutting up. You gotta talk and get a feel for what the other guy is thinking.
Can't we all just get along?
Yes.
Yes, we can, can't we?
Nobody asked him about Nuke's comments, so that would have been.
They might not have been aware of it at the time. Who knows? What time did it come out?
Taj was on in response, I think, to Nuke's comments. But either way,
hey, you know what? Taj has got his own problems right now.
Well, does he? Are those big problems?
Well, I don't know if it's big, but I mean, he did have some kind of a rest thing go his way.
Hopkins would probably tell you, I'm getting in issues. I like Dabo. Just didn't like what he said the other day. But, I respect him for expressing his opinion.
Okay. Isn't the first time those guys haven't agreed when Nuke went pro, Dabo made a big thing about it was a mistake.
I think Nuke
won that one.
Yeah, I think Nuke was probably right.
He won that round.
Okay. Have a great night. Thanks for being with us tomorrow night. We'll be back here in Columbia. We'll be over in 5 Points. Tanny Hill's group therapy. I'm getting some therapy, much needed therapy tomorrow night. We'll see you then.